two, one.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our One Piece podcast. Today, I'm Kyle. I'm actually always Kyle, and I have Will and Luke with me. And today, we are talking about Fishman Island. Basically, the first big arc after the time skip. A lot of the Straw Hats showing off their new abilities, and a lot of juicy world building, as always. So, what did you guys think?
um, Fishman Island arc as its own standalone arc, like just the basic story, I'm not a big fan of. Uh, didn't really do much to me, but yeah, it is pretty cool seeing everyone's new power ups and what they've been doing for the 2 years in training.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the story itself is kind of meh for me.
I'm actually in exactly the same boat. I thought it was kind of a whatever story. Like I thought the best part about it was definitely the Arlong stuff, just because Arlong Park was such a good arc and getting some more backstory for Arlong and also Jinbei. But overall, I thought it might have been a bit too much similar. Like the main villain guy that I'm gonna draw a blank on his name every all episode, but
Odie Jones.
yeah, Hody Jones. I thought he was maybe a bit too Arlong, and I think that's kind of the point that he's like a more extreme Arlong. But I don't know. It like Luke said, it didn't do much for me. So he like it just seemed like most of the chapters just serving a purpose, to, like get to see your favorite boys in action. You know?
I'm gonna go out and say he's one of the worst villains in One Piece, Hody Jones. That's where I'm at.
Okay, so
Like
it
he's
wasn't it wasn't just me that wasn't a huge fan of him then.
no, not at all.
Yeah, I
It's
think that's
just
pretty
like
popular
he
opinion.
he
Yeah.
wasn't very threatening, and
Yeah,
you
like
know he
literally every single like unless Luffy's in the water, like surrounded by water, like he just punches his ass. Like the only thing he has going for him is this guy's got like 90% damage resistance or some stupid shit. He just does he
yeah,
can take a million punches, but like other than that, like he never packs a
and
punch with
his
anything.
his his source of power is basically from taking drugs. Like
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I,
I
I don't
mean,
know. None of his crew members were anything funny or I don't know. I guess some of them are funny, but not a lot. Like it wasn't. None of them were super memorable, I guess I should say, except for the guy that looks like the ginormous guy that looks like the guy they broke out of prison in Impel Down. Same species, I guess.
the Umi, oh, what's his name? They like call him an Umi Bozu.
Yeah,
It's like the big guy.
he's a blowfish type of
Yeah,
fishman, I think.
yeah. He's not the same guy, or that's the same type. Because he's a fish man, and like the guy who broke out of Impel Down kind of looks similar, but I don't think
Okay,
he's not a fish
yeah,
man.
they
He's a
look kind
fucking
of
fat
similar.
ass giant.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, none of them were super
Well, actually,
memorable.
you don't know that much about San Juan Wolf, but pretty sure that he's a giant.
I know he's got a cool name.
Yes, that is.
San Juan Wolf.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When we were going into these chapters, I was not super excited about reading them again. But I do have to say that like I think I appreciate this arc more on a reread. Um, Specifically, what I really did like about this arc was like the Otohime flashback. I thought
Yeah.
Otohime was like a great character. Like I love like her introduction, how she's introduced and she just like slaps the shit out of this out of like the thief, and then she's like crying for him as well. I really like the kind of like the whole flashback was pretty great. I thought that the flashback was way better than the stuff that was happening like in the present. Um, like I really like the kind of like dichotomy between like Otohime and Fisher Tiger. It really reminded me of like kind of like a Professor X Magneto type of thing, or like a MLK Malcolm X, like that they're based on.
Hmm.
Kind of
Hmm.
like one is more militant. They're both like addressing the same issues of like discrimination and stuff, but they're going about it in very different ways.
Hmm.
And like, yeah, I basically really love everything about Otohime and like the flashback. But yeah, like you said, like the villains of this arc not super great. Um, and
I'd
like
say
yeah, there's kind of a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of the supporting cast I wasn't too big of a fan of. Like you said, I also really liked Otohime, and I also liked the princess quite a bit. I thought she was pretty funny, just because like I don't know,
Yeah.
it's a pretty stupid gag, but like her constantly crying and Luffy being like, "You're a crybaby," and she's like, "Don't be mad at me, please." Oh my God, he's mad at me, and I don't know. It was kind of stupid, but I liked her as a character, and I'm excited to see like what comes out of her being one of the ancient weapons or whatever, because like that was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I was not expecting
Yeah,
that. Um,
yeah, definitely.
but like Neptune was really underwhelming. All of his sons were like, eh.
Yeah,
I don't care too much. The
Yeah, I
main,
mean, I don't
yeah,
think that any of his sons really got like super great time to shine. Like the one that was like the most serious out of all of them probably had the most attention, but like even he was just sort of like, oh man, they're like, I don't know. He was just mad because they were fucking with his family, which like makes sense, but
yeah.
I don't know. They didn't really give a lot to him
I have
in
like
terms of
a rational
characterization.
like dislike of his design. Like I did not like his design every single time he was on screen. It wasn't like Kokoro where like I can appreciate her design, but I hate it. Like she's ugly
Uh-huh.
and I hate her. But this guy just like I just didn't like how he looked. Like it didn't look like something about the art style was weird for him. I like the other two guys.
I like the other two, like in
Yeah,
terms of their design.
yeah. I
Yeah.
like the third one, or like I think he's usually like third in line when he's drawn in the line. But the skinnier
The one
head
who's always
guy,
singing.
yeah,
Yeah, he is a cool design. I mean, one thing that is pretty good. I like, Fishmen. I feel like they kind of lend themselves to interesting character designs just because there's so many different things you can do with them.
yeah,
I do think a
hmm
lot of like the designs in this arc were good. I really like the design of like the drunk octopus mermaid who was like the swordsman who like Zoro fought with. I thought he
yeah.
had a really cool design.
Hmm.
I like the squid guy. I think he has a cool design. I pretty much liked most of the designs of like all of the like supporting villains, all of like the main guys in Hody Jones' crew. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that like they all had like pretty short fights with the Straw Hats, so there
Yep.
wasn't really a lot of time to like give them a ton of like personality. Um, and I mean, most of it was just like, yeah, I kind of think that most of the fights, like the purpose of the fights was just to be like, look how strong the Straw Hats are now, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
like kind of
that's
show like
exactly it.
what
Yep.
kind of like to show like what a post time skip fight, like what kind of um what tools they have in their arsenal now, and so like what they can draw on in like later fights with the Straw Hats.
yeah.
But yeah, I feel like a lot of the fights at the end didn't really feel like they had like a ton of stakes behind them. um so yeah,
I think
don't.
I think where One Piece shines is like when you see the characters growing during an arc, and like we didn't like
Mhm.
obviously like we just saw a time skip, so we can't have them growing immediately, and like I think this chapter definitely makes sense where it is, and like how they act and like them showing off their powers, like it makes sense. I just it's
They've
just
got to have some time where they just spent 2 years training. So
yeah. If they
they gotta
immediately
have
are
they gotta have at least one arc where they're like, yeah, we're just kicking everyone's ass.
Yeah, if they're
Mhm.
immediately like not like capable of defeating somebody, like that wouldn't be very satisfying after a 2 year
Right,
time skip.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah, I
Like
think
if the first thing they have to do is like go through one of those like Zoro Mr. One fights where it's like, okay, I need to develop a new power during
yeah,
the fight. Then it's like, okay, well then what was the point of the time skip?
yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
it's kind of like a you don't want to you don't want to write yourself into a corner with like these time skips and stuff because it's like, okay, the characters are powerful, so you got to make their fights feel like they're easy, I guess, but then at the same time, like we said, not a lot of like stakes.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the person that I got the best idea of how strong there was Jinbei, because like we haven't, I feel like we haven't seen a whole lot of him fighting like we saw him in the war fight a good amount, but like not, it wasn't too focused on him, and like we get
Yeah,
to see him
no, I
a good
agree.
amount this time, like when he just one shots the fucking blowfish guy. That
Yeah,
was like one punch, and then I think he does one thing else that was like pretty cool. But I like
he can do
he's
like basically
so
the same
strong.
thing as Hody Jones with like
Yeah,
the with like the shooting the drops.
yeah. And also he's like, Hody Jones is like, you ever heard of Fishman karate? He's like, oh, if you want to talk to me about Fishman karate?
I'm the one who made it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
Pretty
like,
much.
in the state of Fishman karate, you're an infant or something like that was one of his lines.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm really excited to see more Jinbei, and also I really liked with him. Um, going into the arc, I did not expect them to add another crew member, and he doesn't join the crew, but he does set up a condition for joining the crew, which is like him finishing up what he has to finish up. Um, so I think, well, one thing that I noticed earlier was like one of the chapter arts, or maybe it was a volume art, had all the Straw Hat crew, and then also Jinbei was there. I was like, is Jinbei gonna join the crew? Because like previously that's happened, and like the volume arts kind of spoil some things, but um, he didn't end up joining it, so it wasn't a spoiler. It was just him being there. But anyway, yeah. So we learned that he's part of Big Ma's crew, which is like pretty big news that we didn't know before, right?
Yeah, we did not know that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, because he wasn't before the time skip, right? Because he would have been Shichibukai, so
Yeah,
like he wouldn't have
exactly.
had any reason to like be allied with the Yonko.
Mhm.
But this is something that has happened since the time skip. He's kind
Mhm.
of been obviously he couldn't have been a Shichibukai anymore, so
Mhm.
uh, yeah, he allied himself with Big Mom,
Yeah, that goes back to like the
and
stuff we were talking
yeah,
about in
and
the
that was
lore
part of yeah,
with
and
like
I think
those.
that part of the reason he did that was like to protect Fishman Island
Yeah.
because to kind of like seal the deal.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty badass line at the end with Luffy saying like, because he pisses off a couple of Big Ma's like followers, and then he's like, all right, I'm gonna go beat up Big Ma, and then I'm gonna fly my flag over Fishman Island. I thought it was pretty badass.
Yep.
Yeah, because I mean now it's like we now know like it's pretty established that like in the new worlds we basically just have like these islands that are kind of like the territories of the different Yonko. Like Fishman Island, it used to be under like Whitebeard, and now it's under Big Mom. So we're kind of like setting the stage for like pirates being more than just like a crew.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
in the war we had like we talked about like the Whitebeard has his whole fleet where he has like a bunch of captains that kind of serve under him and will report when they need to. So I mean, if Luffy is going to get to a point where he can challenge the Yonko, because I mean, at some point he's going to have to do it if he wants to be the Pirate King. That's kind of the thing that he's going to need to start to do as well. Is
And also, doesn't
yeah, stuff
Yonko
like
like
that.
mean emperor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
like
Yep.
for Emperor is what Yonko means.
so
Yeah.
that makes sense because like a pirate like wouldn't have like a territory, or they'd have like an ocean territory, but like an emperor, it makes more
But an
sense for them to have
emperor,
like a
yeah, that makes
collection of
sense.
islands. Yeah.
Yeah. This is like yeah, it's like one step below Pirate King. It's like you are like if you're a Yonko, you're like basically one of the strongest pirates. Like you basically transcended what most people like mean when they say pirate. Like you
Yeah.
are like you're I mean in the new world you're a political force essentially.
Yep.
Like you have like your sphere of influence and stuff.
hmm
Yeah.
Um, I guess we could just talk about like each of the crew because we get to see their stuff, just see them strut their stuff. I think the coolest for me, well, I think one of the most interesting for me was Chopper, like him not needing the balls anymore and just unless he wants to turn into like Big Chopper. But also like
Hmm.
Big Chopper without like the spooky face is pretty cursed. So I was kind of
Yeah,
sad because
pretty
I like
cursed.
spooky face Big Chopper, and we do get to see some of that later on. But
Yeah,
when he,
he's able to control them now though.
yeah, he's able to control, and he was fucking shit up too. So that was cool
Yeah.
to see. Um, and then Frankie was pretty cool. I like Frankie a lot. He gets his big mech, but then he just doesn't use it most of the time.
Yeah.
Like that's like the running joke. Like he's like, "I'm gonna fire my laser beam," and they're like, "Oh my god, the mech is so cool!" And then he's like, "Oh, that was just from you? What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I love honestly, like I love the running gag of like Usopp, Luffy, and Chopper all just like in awe at everything Frankie builds. I love that running gag. It's so funny. Um,
Yeah, and then I love how like Nami and Robin like do not care.
yeah,
Like they are like
exactly.
not impressed by any of the mech stuff at all.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Nami doesn't do a whole lot of fighting but she has her new lightning stuff, her new super staff.
Yeah,
Um,
she's got
Yeah.
some new skills
yeah.
with the weather.
hmm Nico Robin's got some legs now and some second body and stuff. Like, holy moly, her powers are crazy different now. She had big
Yeah, she
hands.
she can make huge body parts.
Yeah, exactly, which is
The
super cool.
possibilities are endless.
Well, she made like a copy of herself at one point, and she like did the suplex on that guy.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Um, And let's see, Zoro, more sword stuff. It's kind of hard to like show off new stuff with him, I guess.
Yeah. See, that's the thing about Zoro fights. I feel like most of the time it's just like, ooh, we cut you real hard.
Yeah.
Like
He,
there's not
he,
like a lot of
You cut him
like
real good.
tangible. Yeah.
if Zoro is
Like a
strong,
lot of
he
times.
cuts you. If he's weak, he doesn't cut you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that Zoro fights have really cool ending panels, you know? Like the last panel where he does like the big cut. Those are
Hmm.
really cool. But I kind of think that like a lot of Zoro fights can just sort of be like actually the best Zoro fights are the ones where he's like getting hurt the whole time or like where there's like serious like the Mr. One fight is like the best example where he's like, he's got to grow and develop a new power. But I feel like at this point Zoro just, he can cut pretty much anything. So what
Yeah.
is there left? I
I'm
don't know.
just I always like when he's fighting other swordsmen, and this one was kind of underwhelming compared to other ones where he's fighting swordsmen, but that's just because of the nature of the chapter. So he's got to be super strong compared to these guys. Um,
Yeah.
but like yeah, like you said, the Mr. One fight was one of my favorites, and also him fighting Brook's Shadow is a pretty cool fight. It's pretty short, but I'm just wondering when he's get to the point because he can cut steel, right?
He can cut steel, yeah.
So why can't he just cut the other people's swords?
Well, I don't know. Well,
Some of them
okay,
are
like
cursed, I
now at this
guess.
point, like we're at the point where hockey is kind of a thing, and like people have hockey. I don't
Yeah,
know if it was like established that like the octopus guy had hockey or whatever, but like, you would be able to put hockey in a sword, I guess. So it's
yeah,
like
I
Zoro
guess.
maybe can't cut hockey yet. That could be like another thing for him, like cutting hockey.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's just for the sake of
Also, at this point in the new world, like from here on out, you just assume everyone we see has hockey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think we talked about this a bit last time, but hockey reminds me a lot of Nen from Hunter x Hunter, where like past a certain point, like everyone has Nen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that
Yep.
this arc, I'm not sure. I kind of feel like most of the new fish or the new Fishman pirates or whatever they call themselves don't have hockey just because they don't
I,
really
I
seem.
I agree. The fishmen, they're weak. These guys suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they make
Hody,
a
Yeah.
point.
Hody Jones does not have hockey.
He
There's no. Yeah.
stinks.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hody
Yeah. Hody
Jones
Jones stinks for sure.
stinks.
But I'm just saying, like from here on out, like anyone who's remotely strong, just consider them having hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess another thing for Zoro is like whenever he's super strong, you can see him cutting like buildings in half and shit. Like he like Mihawk cuts
Yes.
a couple ships in half and stuff, and like in this chapter we see him cut like a tower down. Not Mihawk, Zoro.
Yeah.
So that's like another thing.
Oh yeah.
Like
I thought that was really great. How like in at the end, I don't remember if this chapter was in our last episode or not, so I didn't mention it then. But like the part where Zoro comes back, and he like gets on the wrong ship,
yeah,
and then he like cuts it, and I just love how like Zoro is now at the point where he can cut a ship because
yeah,
that is how Mihawk was introduced. That was his like that was his entrance was cutting like the galleon in half.
yeah. I
So
think
Uh-huh.
now,
I
and I
think
mean,
that
obviously Mihawk was not at using his full power. Like he
yeah,
even said, like I'm in the East Blue. I'm fighting a bunch of insects. Like I don't need to use my full power. But at least now we know that like Zoro is approaching that. Like Zoro, I don't. That probably wasn't even Zoro's full power, but Zoro at least like maybe trying a little bit is
yeah.
close to Mihawk holding himself way back. So progress. I like that.
I was gonna say probably Zoro like doing like a pretty good amount of exertion just to do that move. Like he's not gonna be exhausted or anything after it. But like Mihawk cutting
Hmm.
his ship is just like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Well, and I like how like it's kind of like a good measure where it's like honestly this is impressive for a shonen just because of like power creep and stuff that like in chapter whatever like 60 or something when Mihawk cut the galleon it was like wow that's crazy that's impressive and even still like in like chapter like 600 when Zoro cuts the ship it's like wow that's impressive so like we haven't gotten to the point where like the power levels have blown so out of proportion that like stuff from the early chapters doesn't make sense as being impressive anymore.
yeah,
'Cause I
for
feel like
sure.
a lot of shonen, you have like things that are portrayed as like high level fights at the beginning, and then by the end they're like not. It's like pathetic. There's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
power creep, and One Piece manages that really well. Like yeah, so
You
good
kind of
stuff.
see that with like Arlong too. Like Arlong is pretty heavily featured in like some of the flashbacks for this chapter, and
Uh
like
huh.
it kind of makes sense like because he was in prison for a long time, and like he gets out of prison, and like that's when he meets Luffy and stuff. So his power was
Hmm.
kind of capped when he gets thrown into prison. And if he had kept on the
Yeah.
same path, like he would be as strong as Jinbei. But just because he was in prison for that long, like he wasn't as strong. And like what was his bounty? 30 million or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that he didn't have a bounty when he was on the Sun Pirates, just because, like he was not the captain. Like I think that the only two members of the Sun Pirates that had bounties were like Jinbei and Fisher Tiger.
Yeah.
So I think that he only started having a bounty after, which would have been after he was released from prison. So he didn't really have a lot of time to build up notoriety. And then they also said that like a lot of them, he was paying a lot of the Marines off, and they even show that in the like in Arlong Park,
Yeah.
that like the Marines were accepting bribes, and that's why they weren't like liberating the people of Arlong Park.
Hmm.
So yeah, it makes sense that like he wouldn't have a high bounty just because of that. Because like
Yeah. Um, who else on the crew? I mean, Luffy, we don't get to
Usopp.
see. Luffy, you don't get to see too much. Usopp, we get to see a good amount. He got a lot of plants now, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool, I guess. And he looks cool.
yeah,
I love his design. Um,
I like his big slingshot.
yeah, the big slingshot. I'm just waiting for Soga King to come back at some point. But also, I feel like he's kind of I feel like he's kind of matured to a point where Soga King might not come back because that was kind of his alter ego running away to Soga King when regular Usopp wasn't
Uh-huh.
doing it. So I don't know. He definitely feels more mature at this point. And like he even has a line that I think you sent to me, Kyle, where he's like,
Yeah, that was a great line.
yeah, he's like, what does he say? He's like,
He's saying something
oh,
like, "Oh, I'm getting rusty because in the old days, like my lies alone would have been enough to like make my enemies cower in fear, but
yeah,
now I'm finding myself having to follow up on them." And
yeah,
it's like it's badass because it's like, I'm like now he can follow up on them, whereas like before he might not have been able to. So
yeah. So
good stuff.
Usopp was pretty cool. We get to see
Love this stuff.
I loved the callback to the fight with the mole lady and the dog gun.
Yeah, yeah, that
Cause
was
like
really good. Yeah.
immediately when I saw the burrowing guy, I was like, oh shit. And then like I didn't immediately recognize it, but the panel where they actually like call back to it, like they physically say, this reminds me of that fight or whatever. That's like on the far left side of the page, and I was reading the right side of the page. It's like, wow, this reminds me of that fight. Are they gonna use like tactics from that fight? That'd be super sick. And then they fucking mentioned it on the other side of the page. It was super cool. They were like, yeah, we got experience with this. Like this isn't
Uh-huh.
shit. It was super cool. I like that a lot because it was Usopp and Chopper, and I was like, that's the tag team that took him down.
Yeah, exactly.
Super cool. I guess who else on the crew? Oh, Brook. Brook, we get to see his ice sword. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, he can leave his
He
body
also,
now?
yeah, he can leave his
Yep.
body now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, he's all about that soul.
Yeah. And apparently that's like why he's able to like his music is able to just like affect people, I
Yeah.
guess, is because of his soul powers.
Hmm.
Um,
All
that
about the
that's like
soul.
definitely like some Oda shit. It's like the same kind of logic as like Sanji's leg not getting burned because his soul burns brighter. It's like the exact same thing. It's like just it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's emotional logic. It's not like actual logic, but it's
Hmm.
still logical. So I'm down.
Yeah. Sanji, we don't get to see too much new stuff, right? He uses one of the CP9
The
people's move.
CP9, yeah.
He does like the big
Yeah,
air move.
he can kick the sky and fly basically. So
Yeah.
Sanji can fly now.
Yeah.
Probably not for like too long. Like he probably can't fly from like island to
He can
island or
float.
anything. Yeah, he can, but he can do some aerial maneuvers. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
He gets to use the Diable Jamble.
Yeah.
um, that's everyone on the crew. I'm gonna forget somebody, but
No, I think
yeah, we don't get to see too
that's
much from Luffy. New stuff from Luffy. Did we get to see
well.
anything new
He
from him?
does.
He uses
We
his
I mean
hockey quite a
we
lot, which
see him
is super
start to
cool.
use the hockey,
He takes out like
and now
half
it
the
makes his
hundred
skin
thousand
black.
soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're now at the point where if someone is using hockey on their body, like it makes their skin black. Like Luffy, he like makes his forehead black at one point. He like makes his fists black when he's like trying to like punch the big ship Noah.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's like this is definitely something where it's like you can just like this is not one of Oda's finer moments. Is what I'm trying to say because like before when we had seen hockey being used in like Shibondi or like in the war, like we don't see any visual effects. Like when Rayleigh like blocked the kick, his flip flop from Kizaru, uh, his leg wasn't black or anything. But now it's sort of like from now on, that's what that means. Whenever you see like black on someone's skin or whatever, it means they're
Mm.
using hockey there.
So you don't like the
So
visual indicator of it?
no, I'm fine with the visual indicator. I
It's
just
he's
don't
just
love
saying
the
it's
fact that like it
inconsistent.
wasn't always there. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I mean that, I'm okay
Like
with that. That happens, especially
no,
for
Yeah.
such a
it's a
long
nitpick.
running
It's a
thing.
nitpick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Like basically like I love One Piece. So what that means is that I hold it to a very high standard. So like when I notice even these like little inconsistencies, I will point them out just because, you know, like for
Yep.
a series that I didn't like as much, I would be like, ah, whatever, I don't really care that much because I would have bigger fish to fry. But we're talking about One Piece, which is basically fuck. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's
The
pretty
only
fucking
thing you
close.
have to nitpick here is that they're covering their fists in black now when before it was just implied.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, just a little thing,
It's a
but
good indicator
I'm gonna
that
bring it up.
that's the biggest fish you have to fry at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest fish man to fry.
Yeah, true. Um, but yeah, we don't get to see much from Luffy besides the hockey, I don't think. He just kind of goes back to the.
Well, he also uses the what is it like the I think he calls it like Red Hawk gun or something, where he like actually
Oh,
makes
wait, he
which is
Red Hawk what? I
it's like
remember the Red
red
Hawk
or
something. Yeah.
the Red Hawk gun or Red Hawk pistol or something, where he basically like actually generates fire. Um, so it's like clearly like an Ace homage.
Yeah.
But like I assume that he's just doing that by like maybe his fist moving really fast or something. And I mean, they do say that gear second like makes a lot of heat. That's why the steam. So I sort of just view it as kind of like an extension of that. Doesn't make a ton of sense, but like I'm fine with it. It's like it's cool,
I
and
always
it's
thought of it as like a comet, like he's breaking the sound barrier and it's got like I don't know, like a
yeah, I can
meteor
see
coming
that.
down. Yeah, like it's just so
Especially since his
fast.
fist is already so hot from like gear second that
Yeah.
like it's just makes fire. It's cool.
When I read Red Hawk, I thought of red hair Shanks and Mihawk.
It's
Um,
kind of like
Fair enough.
probably does in Japanese though. Probably not.
yeah, yeah, I have no idea what the translation would be for. Oh, one translation thing. Literally half the on the website that I'm using. What is it called? Mangaku, something like that. Mangaka lot. Half or half the arc it was Hordy Jones, and then the other half it was Hody Jones.
Oh yeah, I like Cody
Hordy.
Jones better.
Hordy
So I'm just
Jones.
gonna say it.
I was like, which
Yeah,
I think
Cody.
it happens quite a bit with some of the characters where it's just like
Yeah,
Yeah.
very weirdly inconsistent with that.
I
I mean
the
I've seen Jinbei with an N and with an M
Yeah,
before.
that's something else I've
Um,
noticed.
I've
Jinbei or
seen it with the
Jinbei.
I at the end, without the I at the end. There's a lot of little thing. I mean, it's just it's because I think basically how it works is like some of the stuff, like most of it, is like you just hear the sounds. So it's like how do you translate the sounds to English? But like for for some of the things we have like an official thing because like on like the wanted posters, like when you see like Monkey D. Luffy written in English, like it's actually written in English in the original manga. So it's like that is like there's no way that like they're spelling Luffy's name wrong,
Yeah.
And so it's like this. I think that
except
has to
for
do with like
Zoro.
fuck that.
Wait, what is it? Zolo or something?
It's Zolo. Yeah, I think they have to do Zolo because of uh like legal rights
That
to the
makes
name
sense. Yeah.
Zoro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
both swordsmen too.
Yeah.
yeah.
um, yeah.
So that one is just actually it is canon Zoro. It's just like legal shit that makes them in the official
I
translations.
mean,
So fuck that.
other Zoro has two R's, I think, too.
Yeah, so
So
it's not even the
stupid.
same.
Whatever. I kind of want to
He's
talk
clearly
about like
inspired
the
by him.
yeah. I kind of want to talk about like the bigger implication stuff that we see at the end, like well, the
Okay.
poneglyph
Yeah, there's a
that
lot of that.
yeah, I mean that was definitely my favorite part just because like that stuff's really interesting to me and like the regular story was kind of but
Exactly.
um
Yeah,
Yep. That's the biggest takeaway from the Fishman Island
yeah
is
um
the later stuff.
We get to see Nico Robin reads another poneglyph that's like a promise between a person and a uh, mermaid princess, which is
Yep.
exactly what happens at the end of the chapter when Luffy makes a promise to the mermaid princess to take her to see a forest, and apparently the promise on the poneglyph was not kept.
Hmm.
So I'm very curious to see that. Um,
And apparently, the guy who wrote the promise on the poneglyph was alive during the Void Century. So
yes.
that's, plot
Um,
implications there.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so she is also the mermaid princesses, or I guess they're not always princesses. They're just some kind of royalty mermaid. Are um, they're the Poseidon weapon, which is able to command the Sea Kings, which definitely seems pretty strong. But I don't know. I mean, obviously we probably haven't seen all the Sea Kings, but some of the Sea Kings, most of the Sea Kings we haven't seen, like Luffy and they like hunt them for fun or whatever. So it doesn't seem
That's
like
true. But
super strong.
also, yeah, I mean, if you could control every Sea King,
Yeah,
that might be powerful.
yeah. But it's cool because that's the first weapon that we've seen like what it does, right? There's three of
Yeah,
them.
it's the
Yes,
first
yeah,
weapon we've ever had physically revealed.
yeah.
Yeah, which is cool because it's what are the other two? Uranon, and Kraton. What's the third
I
one?
think it's, I think it might be
Pluton.
like, yeah, Pluton
Yeah,
and Uranus, I think.
yeah.
Hmm.
So we get to see Poseidon, which is cool, and it fits the name. So I'm curious to see if Pluton is like a I don't know what would Pluton be?
I would imagine Pluton is some sort of
Like a bomb.
device uh because that's what Frankie had the blueprints to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, so it's interesting that like the first actual weapon, ancient weapon that we actually see is like not like,
yeah.
in
It's
the
not a
same
weapon.
way as like,
It's a
yeah,
Yeah.
person.
I mean it has the potential to be used as a weapon, but it's not like built. It's not like it doesn't have blueprints like the um like what is it, Uranus, or no, it was Pluton, like
Pluton.
Pluton.
And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
and if
so
they're sticking to like something similar to their name, then I don't want to know what Uranus is.
yeah,
um,
Jeez.
um, but yeah, it's really that was probably like one of the biggest things, if not the biggest thing that we learned. We
yeah,
also learn about Aokiji and Okainu's fight, which is pretty big
mhm.
implications because Aokiji's somewhere around. He's just chilling somewhere because he's
Yeah,
no
he's just
longer an
not a Marine
admiral.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
where do his allegiances lie at this
But
point?
but like I kind of like that because like Aokiji was always the homie whenever they ran into him. So
Exactly. So it makes sense that he would like leave the Marines because like he clearly, I mean, him and Akainu like definitely are not on the same wavelength when it comes to like what justice means.
hmm
Like Akainu is like way more about just like at any cost just kill all the pirates, and like Aokiji is like he's more reasonable. He was
yeah,
willing to like let Robin go, like not kill everyone on the island, just kill everyone except for one.
yeah.
So that's nice of him.
Akainu is like the only good pirate's a dead pirate, and
Yeah,
Aokiji's like, well, there are good pirates and there are bad pirates.
Right.
yeah.
um, so yeah, we learned that Kainu's in Sengoku's position right now, right?
Yes,
Yes,
he is
he's
now
the lead commander, whatever.
Yeah, and he's been
yeah, I forget what it is. Oh, like the fleet admiral is what it's called.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So he is pretty high up there.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean they kind of say that like this is like not good for the pirates because like compared to Sengoku, Akainu is like way more ruthless. Like Sengoku, we we saw him during the war, and he didn't seem like a monster, like in the
Yeah.
same way that Akainu was. He seemed
hmm
a little bit more on like. I mean, he recommended Aokiji to succeed him, so clearly he like agrees more with him ideologically. So now we're gonna see what a Marines run by like a fucking monster like Akainu is like. So
Yeah.
yep,
And then we also get uh, a little bit of Smoker at the end. Him and his subordinate lady girl person that also,
Tashigi.
yeah, Tashigi. She also uses swords, and he's like, okay, it's the Straw Hats. You don't gotta tell me. Like they capture some of the pirates, and he immediately knows it's the Straw Hats, and he's got more scars than usual, I think. Um,
yeah.
so I'm curious to see how. if they come to heads, how they like stack up. I think Luffy might be stronger than Smoker at this point, but also Smoker's been spending 2 years in the New World, so definitely curious
That's
to
true.
see how that plays out. And Tashigi, I feel like she's also just gonna be Zoro's gonna be like, nice try, bud.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's her whole arc. Tashigi is to Zoro what Kobe and Helmeppo are to Luffy.
Yeah, I could
That's
see that.
a
Yeah,
fair comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just always
yeah,
going to be one step below, it seems.
and yeah. I mean, it's interesting. See, this is kind of like one of the reasons that like I am not a huge fan of hockey in general. Just like so before, Luffy could not fight Smoker, not necessarily because Smoker had like a higher power level than Luffy. It was more just that like he had a fruit that Luffy's fruit did not like. It was a bad matchup. Like there was the only like Luffy beats you by punching, and he has like an intangible Logia that like as far as we can tell doesn't really have any weaknesses. So Luffy would not be able to punch Smoker. So makes sense. So, but now it's like that Luffy has hockey, hypothetically, he'd be able to punch Smoker because that's one of the powers of like good armament hockey is that um, you can make Logias not be intangible anymore. So I don't know. This is just one of those things where I think that hockey kind of like not
It takes
always like
away
there's
that
some good
rock
things
paper
about
scissors
hockey.
thing that kind of happens
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes.
Like I like how like it takes away the possibility of, for example, like really cool badass moments like Luffy punching Crocodile with like his fists are wet because of his own blood. Like that's badass, and it also makes sense within like the sort of like the logic that had been set up in the series before. But now it's like if Luffy or if Luffy had just had hockey back then you wouldn't have that interesting like back and forth where like first he gets bodied and then he has to like figure out a weakness and then like he has to like find a way to like react when that weakness is taken away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think in theory it like makes fights kind of less interesting, but there are good things that come with hockey that we have yet to see that I like. So I don't want to say like I hate hockey, it's the worst thing ever, but it's not my favorite thing that's been introduced. So
Yeah. It's definitely like I don't know, like I keep drawing comparisons to Nen, but that's like it seems so Nen-esque from Hunter x Hunter, so
yeah, yeah. I
just
think Nen is like
another
definitely
power.
more fleshed out though. Like, Nen is like pretty complicated and like
Nen is
it's like
extremely
everything is
complicated.
built around Nen.
Like
Whereas like hockey
hockey
is
has like
complicated.
what, three types, Nen has like
Yeah.
6 or 8 types, and then like you can like also do multiple types, uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. There's a
like
lot of shit going
and
on with
like it
Nen.
also
Yeah.
like manifests itself in like a completely unique way for each person, and each individual
Yeah.
like manifestation can be very weird and complex, like Knuckles like debt program thing. Like what the fuck
Yeah,
was
like
that?
having like weird conditions and shit.
Yeah.
Like I think that Nen is like more like Nen kind of like combines the like hockey and devil fruits are like two parts of Nen, you
Yeah.
know? Nen is just like it is this one system that like combines both. And I don't think
Yeah,
that
that
like
actually that's a
every
really good way to look at it. Like Nen is Devil Fruits and hockey combined, kind of.
yeah, it's actually kind of like the way that it's introduced is almost like reverse because like first we get like the more hockey-ish stuff with like okay, you use Nen to like protect and guard and stuff,
Yeah.
and like you can use it to make your attack stronger and that sort of, and you can use it to like see you can use it to sense other people's Nen and stuff. But then like only later when people get stronger do we get like okay, now it's time to develop your own like unique Nen ability. So it's kind of like the reverse, whereas like first in One Piece we get the unique abilities of with like the Devil Fruits, and then later we get like the like the guarding and attacking and like
Yeah.
stuff like that. Um, and I don't think that like every shonen needs to have like a battle system as complicated as Nen. I think
Yeah.
that Nen works well for Hunter x Hunter. And I think that like Devil Fruits work well for One Piece. It's just like
Hmm.
like I don't know if like hockey is like extremely necessary. I mean, I kind of see it as like, okay, like Luffy's going to need to like be able to like beat these guys, and like this is kind of like how we're gonna do it, how we're gonna like make it so that you can understand like that he's able to like beat stronger and stronger opponents. Um, but I don't know. I don't love it. But like I said, there are good things about hockey that have yet to come that I will talk about when they come up, and I'll be sure to like be like, this is a good thing about hockey. we're not
Honestly,
sure.
I
Right.
think
But so far we haven't seen that much.
It's certainly not a perfect system, but I'll
Yeah.
say I think the fights are still entertaining, and
Oh yeah, definitely.
it's like a supplementary thing because each person is still using their devil fruit in really unique ways, or
Yeah.
um, it's just kind of complementary to the fight that would be going on regardless of hockey ever being introduced
Hmm.
for the most part.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. No, I mean,
it's
I'm not
it's it's
trying to
it's a
say that
little
like hockey
sloppy.
ruins the series or anything,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
It's a sloppy system, but I still think it works out.
I
Yeah,
think my favorite
there
part
are
is
good things
definitely the
about it.
Conqueror's hockey, just Luffy being like the fucking worthless people out of my way and just knocking them out immediately. That's
Yeah,
pretty
I don't I
badass.
Yeah.
like that a lot.
They just
Yeah.
like faint.
Yeah,
50,000
like
people just
anyone
faint.
who's not even worthy to be in my presence,
Yeah.
just be gone.
And he puts a
Yeah.
little bit more
And I
effort
do like
into it,
that
like,
because
yeah.
yeah, and like the most interesting type of fight in One Piece is the one-on-one fight between two powerful characters. So if we can just like don't get me wrong, like I like seeing Luffy like and the gang just fight a bunch of like low-powered mooks, but I would like to get to the one-on-ones as quickly as possible because those are the best types of fights. Like
Hmm.
once we've moved fight stage of an arc, I'm just itching for like the one-on-ones.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Conqueror's Hockey kind of like gives us an excuse to get to those fights quicker.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think my favorite them beating up a bunch of trash is still right before Skypiea when they're on with Blackbeard in that cantina and like the entire like arc they're just getting like like they're like throwing food at them and like punching them and beating them up and they're not allowed to retaliate at all and you just finally get that release at the end with them beating the shit out of them like that's really satisfying. um
Yeah, dude, like the Bellamy punch is like still, I mean, one of the most satisfying One Piece punches, just because of like not necessarily that Bellamy was like the strongest villain that they faced or whatever, but just because it was just catharsis for all of the beating that they had taken that they didn't need to before.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
um
I
that
love
one
that.
and punching the celestial dragon.
Yeah, yeah, those are two of the most cathartic punches for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
And I mean, I sent you the clip of like the Tenryubitou punch
Yeah,
in
that was
the
a good
anime,
clip for
right? 'Cause
sure.
it's like really cool. That's
Just
like, yeah,
punches the
it's like,
color right out of the anime,
yeah,
punches him right back into the manga page.
it's fucking great.
The I'm trying to think about other big stuff that we got towards the end. I think the only other thing that I could think of was um fuck, what was it? There was something else that had like bigger implications.
The Big Mom,
Was it Big
Yeah,
Mom
I guess the
thing?
Big Mom stuff is definitely important. We kind of touched on it already with like the four emperors, but the
yeah.
we get
Yeah.
to see Big Mom, and
Oh,
she
was
is.
it that Blackbeard is now basically a Yonko?
Oh, that one, yeah, for sure. That was pretty big. It was something else though. I was thinking a smaller one is that we get to see oh, I'm drawing a blank on Frankie's master's name, but his brother, and that kind of gets brushed aside pretty quickly. But I was like, that seems like a big deal.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
his,
oh yeah, that Tom's brother it just
yeah. I
exists.
feel like he's just there as a plot device to make sure they can get their ship coded again. But I don't know. It was like, yeah, Tom's brother's here, and they talk to him for like 2 seconds, and then he's like hanging out with Hachi the entire time.
Mm.
Yeah.
um,
Did we learn anything about Shichibukai?
I don't think we've learned anything new about the
Okay.
No,
Shichibukai yet.
Okay.
that's
Okay.
coming though.
I'm
Yeah.
excited. 2 years of Shichibukai changes are going to be exciting. We
Yes,
learned that,
very
but
exciting.
back to Big Ma. We learned that Captain Kidd's been sinking Big Ma's ships, and she is not happy. Yeah,
Yeah,
Captain Kidd
that's true.
has.
yeah, and he's been, uh, and that's they give Big Ma the treasure that they get from Neptune, and there's a bomb in there. So they
Yeah.
unknowingly gave Big Ma a bomb.
Yeah, that's pretty big brain.
So Big Ma is already upset with him eating her candy, and now she's going to be extremely upset when she finds out there's a bomb in the treasure.
When her
Yeah,
treasure is a bomb.
It was
we'll see
yeah.
when that happens.
I'm
She gonna be mad.
I was pretty excited for that to be the very end of the arc, but I'm excited for whenever that shows up. She's gonna be pissed because she was already extremely upset. Um,
She seems like a bit of a hothead.
she seems like she got a little bit of a sweet tooth.
She got the diabetes for sure.
But yeah, we get to see two of her subordinates, which are the lion guy and the Dr. Robotnik looking motherfucker.
Yeah, the egg guy.
He's
Oh,
got,
the Eggman, yeah.
he got the poop on his ass because he looks like he's a bonbon that's been dipped in chocolate, but it's all on his ass and looks like he just pooped himself. Yeah, Dr. Eggman looking ass
Yeah,
from Long Leg Island, I think.
probably that's probably a safe bet. Yeah, no, yeah, they say he's from the Long Leg tribe.
Wait, was he
Baron
the one with the
Tamago.
shell or was it the lion?
No, he has the shell. Yeah,
Okay,
but
yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say
His
because
name's
that would
Baron Tamago, and Tamago means egg in Japanese.
okay.
He's basically like is Eggman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, what came first, this or Sonic? I'm gonna guess Sonic.
Definitely
I
Sonic.
think
Because this, I mean,
One Piece might
yeah.
have started first, but by the time this arc was airing, Sonic was definitely out big time.
Oh
No,
yeah, no.
I think
This
Sonic
arc came
started
out in
before
like
this.
yeah, me
When did
too.
One
I
Piece
think
start?
like 97, I think.
96? Okay. Yeah, Sonic was definitely before that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this arc came out in like 2011, I think.
hmm
So
Probably
Um,
an homage to Sonic.
yeah, honestly, it might have been.
definitely.
Um,
There's so many in One Piece that there's so many characters that
I'm
we
waiting for a
reference the same
Mario
ones.
homage. Unless we've already got one and I missed it.
I
Um,
don't think so.
Another huge implication scene that Kyle was extremely distraught about is that Nico Robin thinks Jinbei's kind of handsome.
No, no, that's I don't believe it. It's not canon. I refuse. I refuse.
I ship it.
No, dude. Honestly, like, see,
Hey,
one thing that's great about One
Nico
Piece is
Robin
that
doesn't
like
see
there's like
race.
no shipping.
Yeah.
Like there's like no romance in One Piece. Like if you ship One Piece characters, like what is wrong with you? Just because
Oh, I was about to say
there's so little to go off of.
I ship Luffy and the Mermaid Princess.
Oh, yeah. No,
That's got more
honestly, no.
substance.
I could see that honestly.
That yeah, that's honestly that's okay. Like shipping, yeah, no, the worst sin is shipping crew members together. That just is awful.
But Luffy gave Nami his hat at Arlong Park.
No.
No, but I mean, at least with the Mermaid Princess, like there's that precedent of the promise between the other Mermaid Princess and whoever that was.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
we're not
Oh
gonna get.
yeah. Also, another implication thing that we didn't talk about is so like the what's her name Madam Shirley
Hmm.
she like predicts a bunch of stuff and she predicts that Luffy will destroy Fishman Island
Oh yeah.
and that is
Also,
not
she's
happening.
Arlong's sister,
Yeah, she is our
which kind
long
of came
sister,
out of nowhere.
and and she's never been wrong about prediction.
Yeah,
So and Luffy did not destroy Fishman Island.
not
So
yet. I'm gonna guess he does
Not
in the
yet.
yeah,
future.
maybe it'll happen eventually. We'll see.
Another big thing that we get that I'm gonna tell my theory about in the future is that the Pirate King was able to also hear the Sea Kings, which Luffy is able to hear.
Hmm.
So my theory is that
Yeah.
the Pirate King is Dragon's brother, which would make sense for why he looks like Luffy and why Ace was able to look like Luffy if there's genetics there. Um, I don't know. Doesn't seem like a too far fetched of an idea.
That's not too far fetched.
They're both really strong and like they're
So would that
like
make Garp the Pirate King's father then?
yeah, I guess. How old is the Pirate King supposed to be?
Well,
Maybe
I mean,
Gold Roger?
yeah,
that
Goldie Roger.
would make sense for ages because like
Okay.
Goldie Roger was he was Ace's dad.
Yeah.
So and Ace and Luffy
Hmm.
were around the same age.
Yeah.
So it
So
would make
Gold
sense that
Roger
like
was like the same age as Whitebeard. Like
yeah,
they were around the same time.
yeah. I don't know. It makes
I think Whitebeard was a little older than him, but like they're still relatively the same age, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Like I
it
don't think that
makes
I don't
sense
think that
just because
Goldie
of like the
Roger would be
the
like, well, yeah, never
the,
mind.
the resemblance with Luffy and Roger has to be intentional. Also, Ace, like all three of them resemble each other pretty well, and that's got to be relatively intentional. So I could be completely wrong, but I think they have to be blood related at some point, and that like that kind of makes sense. If they both share well, they share the D, obviously. They share like the ability to hear Sea Kings.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think
Yeah, but we
that's
also
my
know that like not every guy with the D is related because there was
maybe
that
way
one
way way
giant
way
from
back.
Robin's flashback.
Maybe way
Huh?
back. You never know.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe way back. Because like, but like, would a giant be related to humans? Because
Perhaps
Jeff,
from the Void
the
Century.
yeah, yeah, I know anything could happen in the Void Century.
I think that was all the big stuff.
Yeah.
We got it was quite a lot
One
of bit
thing I
packed
kind
into
of
the end there.
yeah, one thing I want to talk about is like so there's like this whole like undercurrent the entire time. It's like brought up from the very beginning with like Sanji's nosebleed, which is pretty funny. I really like the idea of like Sanji's nosebleed, like putting them out of commission and like being a plot point,
You know, I
which is
actually I
basically
actually also like that because like it's such like a big thing in anime. Like whenever somebody is very either very like has the hot for somebody a lot or like they're very
hmm
embarrassed or something, like that is such an anime thing to do, have them have as a nosebleed. But I have never seen it where they actually like acknowledge the nosebleed
yeah,
and
they're like, oh, we
have it
need to like
have an
we need a
impact
blood
on the
transfusion.
character.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good shit. I really like that. But then okay, so what that introduces is like the idea of like Fishman.
Kyle died, I guess.
Oh
So
no.
it introduced the idea of something about Fishman Island that we'll get back to when Kyle's back. But yeah, I thought Sanji's nosebleeds were pretty funny, and him turning to stone was pretty good too, because that's a callback to Hancock.
Yeah.
Sanji overall, pretty funny this chapter. Kyle, what were you saying about something about Fishman Island?
Sorry, I cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the blood transfusion thing is what I was talking about, and how like, um, you know, they had there's a law on Fishman Island where you can't give a blood transfusion to a human because of like what happened with Fisher Tiger, where like he was refused a blood transfusion by a human, and that's why he died.
Yeah.
And so there's bad blood between them. And I mean, this
Hmm.
whole arc is basically about like racism and like the kind of like hatred that like oppression will like breed and how it's like you know not good um just in general. And
Racism
so
is
like
bad.
yeah, and how it like affects both sides negatively,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And I think yeah, I think that the idea of like the blood transfusion was like really good um throughout like the flashback, because in the flashback we learn that like it actually wasn't that Fisher Tiger was like denied a blood transfusion by humans. It was that like they had human blood and they could have given him a transfusion, but he was the one who refused it. He said, no, I don't want to have it because like I don't want to have human blood within me.
Hmm.
So it's like I like how like there's like this idea of like it's not just that the hatred from like oppression comes just is just one way. It's like it's both ways. Like the oppressed obviously, um, some would say justifiably so, are going to like grow to hate their oppressors. But then that's also like it's not presented as like a good thing because that's kind of like the same hatred that ends up consuming Cody Jones and like their crew and everything. But yeah, I like how you know we have in the past we have Fisher Tiger refusing it, and so it like literally like his hatred for humans is what kills him because he can't, he can't he won't accept the blood transfusion.
Well, yeah, but
And then like
also on
later at the
on the flip
very
side of that, like he dies a martyr for his hatred of humans, and like that motivates
uh-huh.
Hody Jones and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's like this cycle of hatred type thing,
Yeah.
whereas like just the violence will just beget more violence, and
Yeah,
it's
that
just
that
like a
was
cycle.
definitely the main theme of it. Like other than the race
Yeah.
thing, like violence begets violence, and like the cycle of hatred, which is a pretty common thing
Hmm.
that you see in a lot of medium, but like that was
Yeah.
a pretty big emphasis for this point. Like that's what Otohime and what you get to see with the princess towards the end.
Yeah. And there are like some really good parts in the flashback. Like I like there are a lot of great like Otohime moments where like she they're like going to kill the guy like the Tenryubito that shows up um and he's like he's completely defenseless and they're like dude this is like literally the guy who was like enslaving our species like we should just kill him right now and like I love how Otohime is just like stop it like there are children here like she's not saying like she doesn't say like that's wrong what you're doing she just says like like the worst thing about what you're talking about is the fact that the children will be influenced to like have this same hatred in their hearts
Yeah.
and so like I really like that aspect of Otohime about like she like specifically addresses like how it will affect the future generations.
Yeah.
Because I mean, in a lot of ways, like One Piece is a lot about like the old making way for the new. And so I think that this is kind of like it's cool because it's like keeping in line with that like theme of One Piece, but then it's also kind of like addressing like other stuff that's like more specific to this arc. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and they bring
I'm a
that
big
up
fan of
when
that.
they're fighting and like the introduction of Luffy fighting into Fisher Tiger because they say like you can't just show up there and show it like to beat him up like you have to be
Hmm.
asked for and like show that you're there because of the fishmen wanting you to be there and that you're here to
Yeah.
help the fishmen and like they show that being very directly influenced by like the children that are present like the children see Luffy and say okay humans aren't so bad.
Yeah. So like that's one of the reasons why I kind of appreciated this arc more on a reread because while I found that like a lot of like the execution like we said like the fights weren't super great they didn't have a lot of like stakes and like the villains weren't super memorable they were kind of just like a rehash of Arlong but what I do think that this arc is pretty strong at is like the kind of like everything kind of relates to that theme like those core themes of like the oppressed versus the oppressor and like the cycle of hatred between the two
Hmm.
um so I really like that like I think that is like the strong point of the arc um and yeah
Hmm.
that's like probably my favorite thing
Yeah,
about it
I'd have to agree with that.
yeah and like
It's
one
got a
thing that
good
I think
message behind it.
Yeah.
Just the
yeah exactly
execution was a bit poor.
yeah yeah exactly and I think that like most of like the because like it's a shonen right it's great if it like has these like other messages and stuff but at the same time it needs to like just be entertaining on a moment to moment level and I think it was like good at like conveying those themes but it's just that like some of like the moment to moment enjoyment kind of I don't even think it suffered as a result of that. I think it was just like a separate issue that like there could have been better villains behind these same types of messages and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just that there weren't.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out this was the beginning of, well, it's been developing a while, but this was the first arc where I was starting to get really annoyed with the anime. Like it was starting to get unbearable as
That's
far
true.
as
Yes,
as
the
far
anime
as
is
the
bad
pacing.
at this point.
is it
Yeah.
like the fights are just way too dragged on or something?
It's like Luffy will punch someone and then they got to pan to every character's
Everyone's
reaction for
reaction.
five
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think
And
it's
once
then
sad because it's like
and
the
then Luffy's opponent will punch Luffy back, and then they got to pan away to the same people reacting again.
mhm,
Yeah, I think once
yeah.
I catch up with the manga, I'm definitely gonna like slowly work my way through the anime, but I can definitely see my having my fingers on the side button, like the arrow buttons, just to get through some of those long extended fights a bit faster.
Yeah. Because there are really good things about the anime. Like specifically, I think the one thing where the anime, I mean, obviously it has to do better because the manga just doesn't have this thing, is the soundtrack. But like the soundtrack for One Piece is amazing. Like there are so many
I
great
think the
tracks.
voice cast is really
Um,
good too, though.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, just yeah. There's a lot, and I mean, there's some moments that are just way better in the anime, like that with music specifically, like the big one is like Bink Sake. Like Bink Sake is just like that's like a moment where you like literally the manga is insufficient. Like I
Hmm.
always tell people, read the manga and watch the fights, but like it's not super necessary to watch the fights just because like the art in the manga is really good. But with Bink Sake, it just doesn't hit the same when you don't have like the actual song. Like reading a song versus hearing a song, it's like not even on the same level.
Well, also when you're reading it, we're reading it in English, so it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, so it's like like I don't even remember if like the translators.
It's
I
like
mean,
two levels
yeah,
of
it's like is it
disconnect. Like not only are we
exactly?
not hearing the song, we're reading the lyrics in a different way than it was meant to be sung.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Any,
But one more thing about like the that wanted to say about like the blood transfusion is like we get a call back to it later with like Jinbei giving his blood to
yeah,
Luffy
we find
and
out
all of
Luffy's
the
got the
fishmen
Type F blood, and so does
type
Jinbei.
F. Yeah, yeah. So you know, it's nice because all the fishmen are like, wow, like we're the same, we can get along. But like, I think it was kind of a missed opportunity for Jinbei to be the one who was giving Luffy the blood because like Jinbei already liked Luffy.
Yeah.
Jinbei didn't have to be won over. Like Jinbei would have done this before the arc. This isn't like a basically that what's the change, I guess, like the fact that this came at the end of the arc is just like so that all of the other fishmen can see and be like, wow, what a great example you're setting. And like it can be believable because like they've also gone through the whole thing with like seeing how Luffy just saved their island. But I think that it would have been better if it would have been like a fish, like a fishman or a mermaid
When I
or a merman or whatever
when I was
who
reading
had
it,
like
I was
been
like, I thought Neptune should have given his blood. Like I thought, like
that. That's yeah, that
when
would have been a
I
great.
first
I
read
think
it, I was like,
Neptune would have been
oh,
great.
Neptune's gonna give him his blood. Like that's gonna be perfect for this. And then it was Jinbei, and I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah, I agree. I was actually going to say Neptune like would be
because
a great
Neptune did
candidate
fucking
because
nothing the whole goddamn time.
yeah,
He was
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
pathetic.
much.
He was
yeah.
pathetic.
I mean, yeah, he's like old and stuff, I guess. So it's like, but I mean, I don't think he's ever really portrayed as like a strong character. But I agree that like just giving him something more to do would have like I don't care about if a character's strong or not. Like in this arc, Otohime is my favorite character, and like she obviously like they make a point to say that Otohime is like really frail and stuff. It's not about like how strong you are. It's about like what you do with the time you're on screen. And like yeah, I kind of agree. Like Neptune really didn't have a lot to do, and I think this would have been really good because like we have like moments in the flashback where Neptune is like, I'm so conflicted because like I want to just rampage and like kill all humans
Yeah.
because like at the time he thought that his wife was killed by a human. Um, but he's like, I know that I can't because like that's not what she would have wanted.
Yeah,
And so
those
it
two
would have been
pages
really
with Neptune
nice.
where he's like against the door, like kind of like he's like, "What do I do here?" Like that was a good fucking moment for Neptune. Like, and then
Yeah, that's true.
nothing came
That's true.
out of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Like if like that this would have been a great resolution, I think, if he had been the one to give the blood. And then also it would have been an even because I mean obviously like Jinbei is a good example for all the fishmen because he's kind of they see him as like a hero and stuff. Um but like Neptune is literally their king. So
Yeah.
it would have been an even better. Yeah, it kind of has me scratching my head. I mean, I think that it's probably just because like Oda wanted Jinbei to seem cooler and stuff. But like, I don't know. Like, I think that Jinbei, you know,
He was
he
already
might have
pretty
gotten a
cool.
little bit too much attention here. Like, we could have used it on like Neptune and stuff.
You know what's
Yeah.
got me scratching my head? Apparently Otohime is a very frail person, whereas she slaps somebody and literally her entire hand breaks. She pumped out
Hmm.
3 kids with that ginormous dude Neptune. Yeah, okay, bud.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that
Jeez.
is true. Well, maybe like
Maybe
all
they
of her
lay.
strength.
Do fishermen
Oh
lay eggs?
yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
Actually, they probably lay eggs. Yeah. Damn.
Hmm. Makes you think.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably do. I mean, yeah, no, they almost certainly do because I mean, like they have. I mean, she's a mermaid, so she has like a fish lower body. So I don't even know like how she would give live birth.
Yeah, you're
So
right. I
yeah,
didn't. I didn't see
probably
Neptune.
eggs.
Neptune wasn't wearing no pants, and he didn't have no fish penis. So
Yeah.
unless he's hiding it away somewhere.
Well, it might be in his huge fucking beard. Like he might have been hiding it there.
I did like his design quite a bit. His nose was funny.
It really reminded me of SpongeBob
Yeah, no,
Neptune.
I
Like
immediately thought of SpongeBob Neptune. Also, I think
yeah,
I
and
sent
there's
you
that
guys
like
both the Snapchat where they have the sea bear, and I was like, should have stayed in the goddamn circle.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, like Neptune is a perfect character design from SpongeBob,
Quick,
so I'm totally fine with Oda
look
just
up what
ripping
came
it
first,
off
SpongeBob
for
or
One
this.
Piece.
um,
I mean,
You
definitely
guys didn't mention my favorite character of any fishman, Wadatsumi,
who's that
the
guy?
giant, the giant baby looking.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what his name is. That's what his name is.
the blowfish guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That guy stinks.
that dude is awesome. What are you talking about? He's gigantic.
He got played by Sanji and and Junpei. He
yeah.
stinks.
Well, I mean, he was the only one who needed two like two people to fight against him. So,
Well,
I
did he
mean,
need two people to fight against him? They didn't seem to be happy. They were playing with him like they didn't.
they,
I
they
think
kind of were
Sanji could have
playing with
done.
him. But I mean, everyone was playing with their
Yeah.
opponent in this. So,
Um, Probably try to wrap it up. I can't think of anything else that stuck out to me.
yeah,
I think yeah, definitely the biggest takeaways were all the big stuff and like getting to see all the crew back in action. And I'm expecting at least a couple more arcs where they're going unchallenged, relatively unchallenged. But I think once they start getting a bit, I don't know what they're going to be more towards plot wise. If they're going to be going towards Big Ma and like some kind of conflict with her, or maybe towards more of the revolutionary stuff. I don't know. We will see.
yep.
Um,
Well, now they are now, because this wasn't really the new world, but
yeah.
now we're really in the new world.
Yep. That was the border.
Yep.
All right.
So this is it.
That'll do it for this episode. What chapters are we doing next time, Mr. Kyle?
Let me look it up. I think it's like around.
654 to
Give me one sec. One Piece story arcs.
I'm gonna get
Looking
somewhere
on my
around
iPad.
700.
Um. Wow. Yeah. 699 will be the
Yeah.
last chapter that we read.
Ooh.
So
Do you think he plans them out to be each around 50? Because that's what seems to work out to quite a bit.
he definitely did that for some arcs. I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, I think that he's kind
Six.
of found that that's like a good length,
Mm-hmm.
because this one was about 50. This one was exactly 50, I think,
Yeah, I
and the
think
next
so.
one is like 45, I think. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, 699 is going to be the cutoff for the next time. So,
yep.
see you then.
See you then.